We're back with a great NFL game. I don't know, maybe it's not a great NFL game. It's a okay NFL. Would I be wrong if I called the NFL schizophrenic? And when these teams, I mean, the Jaguars are playing at the Giants. A couple of weeks ago, we were saying the Jaguars can't play. They're terrible. They're getting blown out and then all of a sudden they go on a 3-game winning streak. And the Giants, a couple of weeks ago, we were saying this is the best team in all of football. Can't beat this team. Not so much anymore. Dave, what do you think?
No, that's the thing in the NFL, and it's been particularly true. Look, first off, you don't make judgments off a couple weeks, and that's what people do all the time because it's just easier to do that. You go with the hot team, go against the cold team. It's a little more complicated than that. The Giants, if you do a graph of Tom Coughlin with the Giants, they do this every year. They look like in the middle of the season, boy, the Giants are loaded, and then they kind of level off in November and December, and they might be doing it again this season. I got to tell you, the Hakeem Nicks injury is significant. Steve Smith, he's going to miss this week. They're hurt at wide receiver.
How about the offensive line?
Yeah, they got a lot of injury problems. This team has got a lot of injury.
2/5 of their offensive line is out.
Yep.
They did play reasonably well against the Eagles.
Well, they're a good football team.
They were up 17-16 late in the game. The Eagles are playing great.
They did, although I thought the Eagles kind of flattened out a little bit, and I thought it may have had something to do with the Hobbs injury. They seemed to hit a flat spot after that, and the Giants got a little lucky in the first half of that football game as well. The problem here is that Jacksonville is an overachieving football team. I don't know why they're talking about Jack Del Rio being in the hot seat. He's winning with a very average football team. They've also got a big injury. Sims Walker doesn't get a lot of publicity. This guy's a good receiver. Mike Thomas is going to have a big game for Jacksonville here. I think this is a real tough matchup because I don't want to really lay points with the Giants right now. But Jacksonville, let's face it, they kind of got a miracle last week. The Browns' defense has been really good, but they had a breakdown in that screen to the other hyphenated guy, the UCLA kid. Why am I blanking out on his name?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
I can't believe he's one of the best players in the league. And I just
Jones Drew.
Jones Drew.
It took me a second too, Dave.
Wow, that's weird. When they got so many hyphens on that team, I got him mixed up with the wide receiver. But that was a lucky play for Jacksonville. I'm glad it happened because I had Jacksonville in that game, and I thought I was a loser when the Browns got ahead late. I think what I'm going to look at here is the under because I think both teams have some real offensive issues at this point, and I think the numbers still being set, not factoring in those injuries too much because it's not a quarterback that's hurt. So I'm going to look for the value in this game to be on the under, Scott.
When you look at the line, by the way, what is the over and under? It's the line is the Giants 9 and the total is 45.5. So I can see your point. If teams are going to correct themselves like the Giants need to do coming off that loss, they got to do it with defense because their offensive situation, Scott, is pretty bad with that offensive line being damaged.
And the line did come down a little bit with the other injury announced by, as you mentioned, Nicks. Speaking of hyphens, I had the Cleveland Browns last week, and I kind of used a phrase on that play you're talking about that could be hyphenated also. You can kind of guess what that phrase is.
Oh, you had the other side?
Yeah, I had Cleveland in that game, but anyway, as far as this game is concerned, Jack Del Rio is doing a tremendous job with the Jaguars this year, but they're great at home. They're not so hot on the road. Look what their defense has done away from home. Yes, they did beat Dallas. They caught Dallas. That was a case of good timing against the Dallas Cowboys. They were falling apart. But in their other 3 road games, you look at Kansas City, San Diego, and even Buffalo, they've given up 35.3 points per game in those games away from home. I think they're going to struggle here. Now, I know you've got a Giants team that is hamstrung big time on the opposite side of the football by these injuries. Nicks is out. Smith is out. When your starting wide receivers are Mario Manningham and Derek Hagan, you might have a few problems, but I think what this is going to do, at least for this week, everybody else is going to pick up the slack. It's going to be one of those situations in the locker room where this team is so focused after losing 2 straight, after having the injuries they have, that they're going to come out and play one of their better games of the season. I really believe that. And I've got an Al McMorty special here because Al's not here this week. The bum. I think he's in Hawaii. But if you play against road teams after 2 or more consecutive wins, it has to be a good team. They got to be winning between 60 and 75% of their games. Playing against a marginal winning team that's a 51 to 60% winning record, you are 50 and 24 against the spread since 1983. Now, I'd like to be like Al and finish that up with, and that's my database going back to 1983, but it's not a Smash Mouth original. It's not an Al McMorty original either, but it's a good one. And I also think you're going to see the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I believe are 0-6 against the spread, on the road against home teams with a winning record. I think it's a real tough spot for them. I just really believe that the Giants are going to focus, and all the players that remain are going to pick up the slack, at least for this particular football game.
I happen to agree that they will pick up the slack, Scott. Like I said, if you're going to correct something, and the only way they're going to correct this, because they have offensive holes. The Giants are just not going to move the ball with this wide receiver situation. The offensive line is damaged. Eli is prone to making turnovers. They're going to have to play tough defense and shut Jaguars down and win in a closer game. I believe that's the way the game is going to go. We're going to come right back. We have another big pro football game to talk about.
Hi everyone, Dave Koken here. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. The holiday's a long way from over. I'm doing a little bit of celebrating myself with a big game in the National Football League and one of my big personal service window plays. Both going to be yours for just $25. That's a play that sells for over $500 on my personal service. It's called a window play, plus my NFL game of the month that goes on Sunday. And one call gets you both games for just $25. Call 1-866-841-1665. That's 1-866-841-1665. Keep the Thanksgiving celebration going with these two huge winners.
Last Saturday, I kicked off my week of high roller winners with a winning parlay on Penn State and Texas A&M. Today, I'm cranking it up another notch with a 3-team parlay that I'm so confident will get the money, I'm guaranteeing all 3 games. That's right. You'll go 3-0, or you're playing December's hoops and football free on me. All 3 games and the guarantee for just $29 when you make the call to 1-866-841-1655. That's 1-866-841-1655. And don't forget, for free plays each and every day, just text WINNER to 313131. That's WINNER, WINNER, to 313131, and free plays will be sent to you immediately. That's 2 great ways to cash this week. Text WINNER to 313131 or make the call to 1-866-841-1655 for my 3-0 guarantee. We're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the surprising Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are off a big win last week, but they beat nobody. I mean, that was like a high school team. Carolina is just an awful football team. The Bucs, they've got a lot of things going for them. But can you believe this team is, 7-2, 6-3 against the spread? They are the youngest team in the NFL. But I'm going to point out here, their offense is not ranked that high. I think they're 23rd. I think their defense is 16th in the league. Baltimore has got weapons, and they just got back Dante Stallworth. This is a very good offensive football team. Once they start gelling, they're going to be tough to handle. But here's the key to this pick. I'm going to go with the Ravens, and I'll tell you why. And probably most people have not noticed this. The Bucs are playing their 4th straight road game in 5 weeks. And the only time they played at home was against Carolina. That was an easy victory. Last week they shut out San Francisco. Well, the 49ers don't have much on offense. So a shutout is a shutout, and it's still a good thing. But they're not that good a football team. Scott, I got to go with the Bucs here.
Why are you beating around the bush?
Excuse me,
with
the Ravens here.
Why are you beating around the bush on your feelings about the Carolina Panthers?
Well, I wanted to be kind because it's a nice city down there. It's a nice state.
It's a beautiful area.
But they suck.
They do. And there's more empty seats, more people disguised as empty seats in that stadium than anywhere else. I like the late, great Skip Carey, another partial sellout. That's what I think of every time I see a half-empty stadium. But this particular football game, breaking it down even further, when you look at Tampa Bay, the teams they have beaten, they've beaten Carolina twice. They've beaten some pretty bad football teams. The 7 wins have come against teams with a combined straight-up record of 17-53. Now, in their step-up games, they've played against Pittsburgh, the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons. They're 0-3, outscored 96-40. That's an average score of 32-13. They're on the wrong side. I love Josh Freeman. This kid is the real deal. He's one of the more intelligent young players you are going to find in the National Football League. He stayed for, 3 years under Ron Prince at Kansas State before Prince was fired and Snyder came back in the Little Apple. But I think he has now set himself as the true leader of this football team. But the problem is they still haven't grown enough, as far as I'm concerned, to go on the road and take on a team like Baltimore. And you know me and the NFL guys, I'm looking for underdogs first. But last week, I jumped all over Baltimore in that situation, and they won big for us. I think they're going to do it again. I have to go ahead and lay the 7.5 points here.
Yeah. Of course, the Ravens, in a sense, got lucky last week.
Sure.
It's only a 10-point game. Heading down the stretch, they got a couple of late scores, but nice job by Baltimore from that respect. You talk about Josh Freeman. I want to talk about this guy for a moment and compare him to Vince Young, who's going through his problems at Tennessee right now. There's the difference. Vince Young has absolutely no leadership skills from what I can determine, and you saw another example of it with this, what amounts to a tantrum after the game. He throws the uniform in the stands and walks out of the meeting. And he's probably done as a Titan unless Bud Adams decides that he wants to.
Let me ask you real quickly, since you hit on that, and not to jump on what you're saying.
No, that's all right.
But Vince Young, Bud Adams came out the other day and said, basically told Fisher, you better clean this up in a hurry. We're going to pay this kid a lot of money next year.
Well, then Jeff Fisher won't be there.
That's what I was going to say. Isn't this down to the point now where either Fisher's gone or Vince Young's gone? And if I'm Bud Adams, Vince Young's gone. What has he done?
This kid is a talented college player that's never really developed at the pro level, and is emotionally has developed less than he has physically.
That's the problem.
I definitely think that they should cut bait there with Vince Young. But with Fisher is a good coach, and if they get rid of him, that's a big mistake.
There's the issue is you go back to, and I don't want to make it sound like we're just defending Jeff Fisher, because Jeff Fisher and Norm Chow, if you go back in time, they wanted to draft Matt Leinart.
Right.
It hasn't exactly worked out either. Floyd Reese was the GM at that time, and he and Bud Adams were on the side of Vince Young. So actually, the owner and the GM, going back in time, actually got the right guy.
Yeah, they did.
Young's actually been better than Leinart.
Yeah.
The problem is neither one of them has been any good, really. Young's, if you look at his stats, they're not bad. So he's clearly improved his technique. He's got not more ability, but he's learned to use his ability more. But up here, it just isn't there. I'm not saying that he's stupid. What I'm saying is he doesn't have the leadership skills. Now, the flip side of that is the guy we're talking about in Tampa, Josh Freeman, who's just in his second year as opposed to 5 years with Vince Young. This is Josh Freeman's team. You can see it in the body language, the way the team reacts to him. He is absolutely the leader on the field of that team, an extension of the coaching staff. And Vince Young has been described as a 9-to-5 quarterback. That's what goes in, he punches the clock, and then goes home. Josh Freeman is one of those all-day quarterbacks. He's breaking down film. He's with the coaching staff. He wants to be a star quarterback and a real leader. And it's why the Bucs have done so well in the games they've been able to win this year. Raheem Morris has done a superb coaching job. They've won every game where they've been the better team or at least on equal footing. Yeah, the 3 losses were against teams that are just flat out more talented than they are. That may be the case here with the Ravens, but I think the value here is in the total. And I like the over in this game. This total's a little bit lower than it should be because Tampa pitched a shutout last week. Well, they pitched a shutout against one of the most inept offenses you'll ever see. Troy Smith, good college player. He is not an NFL quarterback. The 49ers are clueless offensively. They're a really bad football team. And I think that had a lot to do with Tampa getting the shutout. Tampa will score some on the Ravens. The Ravens are definitely going to score some on Tampa. And I think this total, Jim, is too low. I actually think this is a really good value on over in the Bucs-Ravens game.
I can't disagree with you, Dave, at all. When you look at the offensive talent that Flacco has now, you got Hushman, Zada, they picked up Bolden on the offseason. They've got Todd Heap and Dante Stallwork is back at running back. Ray Rice, Willis McGahee, and LaRon McClain. This is an offensive powerhouse ready to be made. They haven't really developed yet, but I believe they will eventually develop into the team we think they can be. The Tampa Bay is not going to match up well against this club. The Panthers will win it big. We're going to come right back with some more. Excuse me.
If the Panthers win anything big, that's something.
The Ravens are going to win this one big. Last Saturday, I kicked off my week of high roller winners with a winning parlay on Penn State and Texas A&M. Today, I'm cranking it up another notch with a 3-team parlay that I'm so confident will get the money. I'm guaranteeing all 3 games. That's right. you'll go 3-0, or you're playing December's hoops and football free on me. All 3 games and the guarantee for just $29 when you make the call to 1-866-841-1655. That's 1-866-841-1655. And don't forget, for free plays each and every day, just text WINNER to 313131. That's WINNER, WINNER, to 313131, and free plays will be sent to you immediately. That's 2 great ways to cash this week's. Text WINNER to 313131 or make the call to 1-866-841-1655 for my 3-0 guarantee.
Hi, I'm Scott Spreitzer of Smash Mouth Sports. An outstanding weekend in store this weekend, taking care of college football, college basketball, and the NFL, all on one report. Hey, just $25. We'll get my college football knockout game of the year on Saturday, my college basketball underdog game of the month on Saturday, and my Sunday night game of the year in the NFL, and that's the big matchup between the Colts and Chargers. All 3 plays are yours for only $25. All you have to do is call 1-866-896-1627. Hey, this past weekend we cashed our massive mismatch game of the year with Navy. You don't want to miss out on this 3-0 report. Again, 1-866-896-1627. Get all 3 plays from Smash Mouth Sports for only $25. Hey, my best bet this week, the Baltimore Ravens minus the points over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And what a fantastic offer going on right now at Smash Mouth Sports. It all starts with my Sunday night football game of the year. And what a big battle. We got the Chargers taking on the Colts. Forget about Monday Night Football. That's a scrub matchup. This one is the marquee matchup. It is my game of the year, and you're going to get it for $25, but also you're going to get a free week of basketball winners. And you know how valuable that is when you're talking about college basketball Novembers and Decembers at Smash Mouth Sports. $25 gets it all. Sunday night football game of the year, a full week of NBA and college basketball, no additional cost. All you have to do is call toll free 1-866-896-1627. You're going to get at least 10 plays over the next week for just $25. 1-866-896-1627. Make the call and then take the cash. Dave?
Well, I'm going to stay in the same game. That's a terrific offer that Scott had. I like the over in the game between the Ravens and the Bucks. I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. Could approach 50. You get a lot of value with the over in that game. I also have some big value on today's card. I've got an action play in the NFL. I've got an under-the-hat play in the NFL. And one really big play, that's my NFL game of the month. All 3 of them for $25. 1-866-841-1665. It's simple. Make one phone call. Take you about 2 minutes to get signed up and ready to go. It's only $25, and you're going to have a huge day. 1-866-841-1665. 3 big NFL plays, including my pro football game of the month. How about you, Jim?
Well, I'm going to go with the Ravens in this game. I said it before. I like the Ravens. They have offensive punch. They're developing. They're meshing together on offense. And the Bucks are coming. This is their 4th straight game. Not 4th game on the road out of the last 5 weeks. And they're getting a lot of credit off the shutout of San Francisco last week. And that's not deserved, really. San Francisco's a terrible offensive football team. So I'm going with the Ravens. Last week I told you I had a 2-team parlay with Penn State and Texas A&M. They win. This week, I'm stepping it up. I'm going to the pros. I got a 2-teamer this week in the pros so strong that I'm guaranteeing both of these games. And it's only $25 for the 2-teamer and the guarantee. Just call 1-866-841-1655. And come back next week. We got another Proline show for you. We're going to cover college and pro football, college and pro basketball. A lot of conversation. We'll tell you what's going on in the world of sports. Make sure you tune in.